Hello and welcome once again to another whiskey review with me, the Whiskey Novice. This is review number 14 and this will see me finish my whistle stop tour, as I've called it, of the Scotch whisky industry, regions, etc., whatever you want to call it. This is the terminus, if you will, of my whistle stop tour, and this time we have come to the islands, and my graphic will actually be showing here that we're going to Orkney, but we're not going to Orkney. We're coming all the way over because I redirected it to Skye, where you will find in a place called Carbost, I'm going to call it Carbost, in the Isle of Skye, where the Talisker distillery is. Does it say on here? I'm going to say it's Carbost anyway. That's the way it's spelled. Anyway, that's the on the Isle of Skye, as I said. We have some in the glass. This is the 10-year-old offering from Talisker, one which I had many years ago, and one which pretty much I was one of, I would consider almost a lucky whiskey drinker, in that there's peat in this. There's no denying that there's peat in Talisker. And Talisker, probably about 15 years ago, I had my first Talisker and liked it straight away. So that peat didn't really affect me, and I felt myself kind of blessed that I quite liked peated whiskey, liked it straight away. Anyway, what do we know about Talisker? It is owned by Diageo. Founded in the early 1800s, and it uses mainly refill US hogsheads in maturation. Do we know anything else? Well, a little tidbit on the way from the spirit still to the worm tub. They have a sort of U formation in their lie pipes, which causes most of the spirit vapour to be returned to the spirit still, which basically in layman's terms means that they're, even though they're not advertising and never would advertise that their spirit's being triple distilled, a percentage of it is certainly being triple distilled, because a lot of this vapour is being returned to the spirit still at the end of the process before maturation. So here we go. Talisker 10-year-old. Straight in, on the nose, we get brine, I would say, is the first thing that comes out. A great nose of brine. This would be chill filtered. It would also have colour added. There's probably not an awful lot of colour added to it, but there's certainly colour added to it. Because, and how do we know this? Because they haven't said that there isn't. So when they don't say there isn't, you take it for granted that there is colour added. Brine, peat, no denying there's peat there. Tobacco leaf, pear. I'm going to say pear is actually, there is fruit there. There's no denying yet again that there's fruit there. And I'm going to say pear. It's sweet pear, and very nice. You know, it's a very pleasant fruit, sweet fruit flavour, and citrus as well. Probably lemon more so than anything. Now it's tucked in there, but it's definitely there. So yeah, pear and citrus. Pear, citrus, peat, brine. I would say that's 4 good ways of describing it. On the palate, bright, nice, bright, sparkling. That peat is all in the development. The delivery is that bright, sparkling thing, but the peat all hangs at the back, and it's in the development of the palate. It's great sweet notes, but not saccharine, not sickeningly sweet. massive volume and depth. It's weird, kind of funny to pick out individual things. The peat does, I wouldn't say overpower, because the peat is nice in it. It would be a brighter peat, like a Lafroig, that sort of style of peat. Bottled 45.8%. Talisker bottle, quite generously bottle all their entry level whiskies, the Skye, the Storm, the 10-year-old at 45.8%, which I'm quite happy. I agree with. You know, you can't feel like as if you're shortchanged with this then, because you're getting depth. There's bite on it. The finish is long, quite dry. Lots of peat and malt. I would say there's a malt in the finish. And pepperiness. I would say it is like a black pepper or chili spice. There's a pepperiness of it which is very true to Talisker form. Hangs about through Talisker. I'm not actually going to add water to this because when I was doing my tasting notes, I added water to it, and it did not play well with the water, in my opinion. I actually did take some notes. The peat, it toned down the peat. Pardon me. What I didn't actually say in my notes when I took them down with the water in it was that it almost, in the way that water will split, very little water you'll see splitting the oils and separating everything out in your whiskey. It almost created two levels. In Talisker I found that the water just did not play with it at all. And you could almost, it just gave it, it made it too wet, if that makes any sense. It just didn't play well. The peat turned down, the brine turned up. What else? Didn't take to the water. Some light fresh fruit came through, and there was a hint of spearmint. But I would quite happily recommend not to use water with Talisker. Just my opinion. I mean, as I say, it's 45.8%, and to me it doesn't fight you at that. It's still friendly at 45.8%. So if it were me, I would just take it neat as it is and enjoy it. And I'm going to actually call that review that. And I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed that whistle stop, as I called it, tour of the Scottish regions. And it won't be long until I'm back in Scotland, because I love Scotch whisky. Scotch whisky would certainly be my favourite. What I think of Talisker 10-year-old, I like Talisker whisky. I do. I know Talisker have their people that will disagree, but I do, and I'm going to give this Talisker 10-year-old 8 out of 10 because I think it's a good whisky. It's a good introduction to peat. If you don't like peat, or you've had bad experiences with maybe some very, very heavily peated Isle of whiskies, Talisker is a better introduction to peat, I think, personally. So 8 out of 10 for Talisker 10-year-old. Next time round I will be leaving the UK and going to America, if they will let me in. That's just a little in-joke for anybody that knows me. They'll know what I'm talking about. And the other thing I would like to say is, as you can see, I'm wearing my Spirits People t-shirt today. If you don't know Spirits People, a guy called Johnny and friends, check out his videos, check out his Instagram page, etc, etc. Very, very interesting stuff. Does an awful lot with spirits and tasting, not just whiskies, but lots of different spirits. And go and check him out. And from there, and from now on, I'm just going to say cheerio to Scotland. Here's to your good health. Cheers. Hey, thanks for watching my video. Please click and subscribe to be notified of further content.